Hi, good evening. I'm extremely excited to have Sri Harsha Majety with us on our show today. And who is he? Does he need any introduction? He's the founder of Swiggy. And much before that, he was there at BITS Pilani. He did a 5-year course in MSc Physics. And immediately after that, he went to IIM Calcutta. So please join me in welcoming Sri Harsha Majety, the co-founder of Swiggy. Hi, Sri Harsha. How are you? Long time.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Vijay sir. I'll say this one time, though we're now doing this interview. We go back a long way. Some of the best classes that I've taken in life. I've never been like a teacher student per se, but I must say I had the most fun and the most learning going through your classes during that brief phase in Delhi. Great to be on the show and look forward to chatting.
Thank you. Sri Harsha, first of all, what prompted you to go for a course in MSc Physics? If my memory serves me right, you're from Vijayawada. And mostly there is this maths culture, in fact, rather infamous maths culture than Vijayawada. Okay, right. Mostly students, they do a lot of maths. Okay,
right.
So why this course in MSc Physics?
Oh, I wish I had a smart answer for that. People, like a lot of seniors suggested that if you're planning to go for EEE, and I was going for EEE, they said there are multiple choices, but a lot of the people, that I knew mentioned that this was a course that was being, a lot more well run. And I was just as excited about physics as I was about mathematics, and just took a leap of faith. You only have so much information when you're 17.
All right. If you go back in time now, okay, let's say you have just done your 12th. Which course would you want to go for?
Probably would have done the same thing. If I were to go to Pilani, but if you're saying that would you have taken engineering or not, I think I would have tried to do a shorter course in life that would have still given me the analytical skills. I don't know that engineering helped me per se more than any other discipline. So maybe I would have, loved to go back in time and plan to do a course in Stephens or something in sciences.
Okay, all right. But you would not enter the arena of humanities for sure.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, all right. Why this idea of MBA? When did this idea occur to you? Okay, MSc Physics followed by MBA. Not many people go for MBA after MSc Physics, right?
Oh, well, but most people follow MBA after engineering. So I did an MSc Physics as well as an engineering. So I consider myself anyways a little bit more of an engineer than an MSc Physics grad. And I guess there are many paths after engineering. I did not sit for campus placements because I couldn't find anything that I thought would excite me. And I thought the best way to kind of buy more time to make big decisions in life was to do an MBA. And I thought that might open up more interesting options for what to do later in life. And I just took the plunge.
All right. And what brought you to Delhi?
Oh, so actually Delhi, I was still in my 5th year of college, but a very friendly professor gave me the permission to not have to stay in Pilani and still do my thesis remotely. So I thought and the thesis was not a lot of workload. So I figured I could use the chance to go and explore some other interests. So I actually came to Delhi for 2 things. One, engage in a videography and filmmaking course. Because I grew to, love movies a lot. And I thought there was something very, very, amazing about the creative process. And I just wanted to dabble in it, understand it a little bit more and see if I might like it. I had an interest in photography and maybe was decent at being an amateur. And I thought maybe let's see if there's more to learn. And the second reason was also to sign up for some CAT classes and be prepared for the exam that I was going to write in 2007.
Okay, okay. So why did not the film thing happen?
So actually, I went for the course, but within 3 4 months, I learned that I was never going to be good at it. Either because I was not so super passionate about it, it didn't like evoke the emotions that I thought it might. And when it's not evoking the emotions, when you know that you're not going to be in the top 10 percentilers, I couldn't proceed ahead because I think generally, like a lot of happiness comes one from the fact that you're doing something you really enjoy, but then it increases by an order of magnitude when you also happen to be good at it. In this case, none of these was a real spike, so I said.
All right. And how was the experience at IIM Calcutta for those 2 years?
The IIM Calcutta is a very fun college again. So for me, it was a very good phase. Luckily, it gave me the time to think some more. It also gave me exposure to all the options that were available. I actually was a part of the placement committee. So I got a pretty close view into how the jobs work, what companies were actually offering to employees or students, etc. So that way it was very useful. And I think the biggest benefit that I took out of IIM Calcutta is what most people take out of an MBA, which was the network and just the ability to have such a strong network goes a very, very long way in India. Whether you're in corporate or whether you're starting up, as I realized, because some of my earliest core team members at Swiggy joined me through the IMC network, and that I'll be always incredibly thankful for. The other thing that IMC helped me was to get a chance to go to London and work in financial markets, which was one of the things that I wanted to explore and either tick mark or a cross mark after trialing it out. It seemed exciting from the outside, a trading job. So very thankful I got closure early on in life.
Oh, thankful.
Very thankful I got closure because you need these quickish answers to move on to the next thing till you find flow. For me, I managed to complete my answers of does this work, does this not work at 26, I think. So that's a major success if you ask me.
Okay, so it has been 9 years since your MBA. All right. So other than networking, is there anything else which still comes handy of those 2 years?
I actually barely passed, so I didn't take a lot of academic awesomeness out of my time at IIM Cal. So most of it was just the stuff I learned from the placement committee, which was a lot more practical lessons in leadership, etc. And I wasn't an academic star there at all by a stretch.
All right.
I was, yeah.
So 9 years of your life in the corporate, does it make you believe that probably it's high time IIMs also change their approach towards the curriculum which they have?
If I paid more attention to the curriculum, I can suggest if the curriculum needs to change. But definitely, I think the needs of today's students, today's workforce, a lot of it is different. I think IIM Calcutta had a pretty strong focus on finance and statistics, etc., and that was really good. But I think in terms of equipping students for, let's say, the new age skills and tools that are needed for internet companies, I think there's a lot of room to generally adapt the curriculum to the new age companies.
All right. Though in a way you have already answered this question, okay, but still would want to get a very direct answer. How was the experience at Nomura International?
Very, very good. I actually got a really good desk. My boss was a really accomplished, ambitious, successful trader. And at 26, 27, he was managing the entire desk and everything that you'd call successful in banking parlance. And I realized that the things that got him excited weren't the things that got me excited. So the happy part about it was that I found my answers again. Otherwise, I would have had to jump desks and companies to find out this dream desk and then get the answer. Luckily, I got a really, really good desk and a really successful and great boss. And still felt that, okay, I don't think I'm very excited by the idea of being successful in this way. I think I'll need something different for me to feel excited. And that's kind of when within 6 months of joining, I made up my mind that I needed to get a plan B. So to that end, it was very, very good. And of course, I really loved my time in London.
So plan B or plan A?
No, there has never been a plan A of entrepreneurship.
One plan A.
Sorry?
I believe that there was no plan B. There was only one plan A.
There was, yeah. Which plan was that?
Traveling in Europe. The
That's
most
right.
rewarding experience of your life, as you have mentioned on your LinkedIn profile.
Right. Yeah, it was a life-changing time for me.
So you were a successful trader there in London, and it takes some guts to come out of a stable job, okay?
Right.
And get into something like cycling, and that too, not for a week or two, but for 6 months.
That's right.
From where did you get that kind of guts?
No, I just didn't need guts. I knew that this was the last long break that I could deserve, because I knew that, 25, 26, I said I have to now go back and commit to something for a lifetime. I think this, nomadic life in terms of moving areas of interest wasn't going to work. Somewhere deep down, I knew that I probably have to either join an early stage startup or, do something of my own, both of which are usually deep, long commitments where you can't take breaks in between, because that's what I heard. So I said, okay, if this is one of the last times that I'll get, I want to make the most of it. So I had a 6-month period before my engagement in India. So I said, okay, I want to...
Which engagement are you referring to?
My engagement to my fiance, my wife my fiance at the time.
Okay. All right.
So that's when I said, okay, I have 6 months to travel. I had already done a lot of backpacking in the past, on two, three occasions, spending 1.5, 2 months each in different parts of the world. And I wanted to do something different, as opposed to the way I backpacked in the past. I said, maybe there's a good opportunity to explore the world at a slower pace than I have in the past. And I happened to pick up a book at the time that someone wrote about their journey bicycle touring through Europe. And I had a friend who I met during my travels who also managed to do a small tour. At the time, I thought that was mad, but the more I read about it, I actually thought it wasn't as mad. And there are a few set of people who are doing it, and every single one of them seemed to be excited by that idea. So I said, okay, this is the uncertain. I'm on my own. The last time I had been on a bicycle was in my 10th class, maybe. And I just bought a bike, bought the equipment, put them on a plane, and with only 100 kilometers of practice, I just started cycling with all the accessories like the tent, sleeping bag. I was now on my own, and I could set up camp anywhere, and it was the most exciting time. It taught me so much about resourcefulness, so much about general comfort with ambiguity, so much about being zen even when things really don't go your way. And just that whole melange of emotions was just, I think, character building to me.
All right. Now, when supposedly Swiggy was going through a difficult time a few months back because of COVID-19, did that experience come handy?
Yes. I only lost sleep half the days. I think, given how hard things were, I think it was obviously a nerve-wracking time. But definitely some of that zenness helped me think clearer and think with emotions in control a little bit as I had to make plans for the future. So definitely it was, it'll always be a part of me, that calming attitude.
All right. So once you were back to India in 2014, I believe, right? So you got engaged with two things, your fiancé as well as bundle, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So how did you manage these two engagements at the same time, almost at the same time?